Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 2012 BSN Mock Draft. I'm BSN contributor Kerry Gibbs. Here with me is our COO Dan Evans, who this is his baby. This is all of his work. He developed this mock draft. He's picked every single player, and Dan, let's get into that a little bit. How did you go about selecting these players and placing them where you did?
Well, Kerry, there's so many players out there that are at the FCS, D2, D3, and NAIA level. There's a lot of different sites out there that look at different mock drafts and different scenarios ranking players. What we did with this mock draft, given how big our college network has gotten, basically the two types of players you're going to see in this mock draft are either players that have profiles in the college network or attended our BSN Collegiate Showcase in March. Some did both, so they're included in that, but there might be some guys that were at our showcase that don't have profiles, some guys that have profiles that weren't at our showcase. So that's how we did it. That's who basically the pool is. How we basically selected the order is based on a number of things. First is, the overall player's evaluation on their pro size, meaning based on their position, what's the ideal size? And every player gets a grade from, basically 1 to 10, 10 being the ideal size for a player at that position. For example, a wide receiver, your ideal is 6'3", 220, 225. And players will get ranged based on, well, if that wide receiver is 5'8", 175, they're obviously going to get a lower grade than that. So that's the first thing we look at. Second thing we look at combine stats. And we compare these combine stats to basically what happened this year at the NFL Combine. Everybody has aspirations of making it to the NFL, but you have to look at where is your speed, your agility, your strength, your jumping compared to guys at your position. And basically the comparison that we ranked points on was based on, let's say the top 5 guys, the top 5 scorers at the NFL Combine would get a 10. If you were in that range, you were getting 10 for that. If you were in the top 10, you were to 9. If you were in the top 15, you were getting an 8, and it would trickle down from there. So based on, it's not just, hey, there's a guy run a 4.3. Well, that's not really relative at say, the safety position or the linebacker position or the position. There's certain qualifications there. So that's the second part of it. The third part of it, we really break down your film. We look at highlight films, game films, and really evaluate the player on certain characteristics that are important for that position. That's probably really about 40% of the breakdown is on film. The last part of it is a combination of the statistics and their awards that they won while they're in college. I don't believe statistics are everything, but it's definitely a component. So for wide receivers, where were you? Were you in the top 10? Were you in the top 20? Were you in the top 30, top 40, top 50? The question I get asked a lot, well, how do you do that for defensive tackles? Well, for defensive tackles, you gear their stats differently based on what's the proper output for a defensive tackle. Probably about 4.5 tackles a game would be a 10-point production level. That's, Donovan Sue, he's about 3 tackles per game or maybe a shade under that. So you look at that's how we do it. Offensive line, there obviously is no statistic. You're on pure awards. We put more weight on the offensive lineman's size as well as the defensive tackle. That's one of those positions that you might be a great player at the D3 level, but if you're 6'2", 260, you're not going to play in the NFL at offensive line. It's just not going to happen. So we have to grade you out realistically there. So last year's mock draft, number 1 overall selection, Armand Smith ended up on the Cleveland Browns, 53-man roster. And so this was an opinion based on my evaluations over this, but it was I think they've proven pretty accurate from the past. Last year we had about 40 guys made pro rosters from the mock draft. And this year what we're going to be doing is we'll be updating the mock draft as guys start to get signed with pro teams. So we let you know where these guys end up. So that's sort of the foundation of the mock draft.
Yeah, and from everything you said, that's definitely a very tedious process. So much work, so much film to be watched, so much to look through. So I mean, you've really put in quite some time. From between the showcase ending and now. I mean, it's pretty incredible the amount of time and work you've definitely put into this draft. So we broke. Besides breaking down the showcase film, which was numerous films, I mean, I probably watched anywhere from 200 to 300 films on the participants here, and you really
you really get, when you really sit down and watch all that film, you really get an idea of who separates from whom. And, obviously, as in any mock draft, we've had risers and fallers and guys that have been steady. And there'll be some surprises in here. I think some names maybe that aren't being talked about enough that they should be. And I'm going to try to give some insight on why I think this guy is where they are, or even where these players need to go. If any player or scout or fan wants to know more about the selections, about a particular player, or even what they need to do to improve their rankings in something like this, they can email me at devans@beyondsportsllc.com, devans@beyondsportsllc.com.
Okay, well, and without further ado, we're going to do the first 2 rounds in this segment. So let's go ahead, and with the first overall pick in the BSN mock draft, we'll take Thomas Mayo, wide receiver out of Cal PA. Dan, give me a little insight behind Thomas's career.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kerry. He's my number one guy in the mock draft. I've liked Thomas since last year. He's basically, in my opinion, what you're looking for a small school receiver. Comes in 6'1", 6'2". He's over 210. He's in that. He's got a good, solid frame. Mm-hmm. He can do everything. I've watched a lot of different film on him. He can catch a short. He can run good routes, catch a short pass, take it long. He can burn by guys. He can make plays in traffic. He's he's running anywhere from between a 4.45 and a 4.55, depending on who basically you get the breakdown from. 40-inch vertical. I think he's got a real potential. He's got the real strength, I think, to make it in the NFL. I mean, he's, in my opinion, from all the guys we've watched this year, if I was taking my first guy, it would be Thomas Mayo. I think he's a guy that can step right in, and I think he definitely could be a player on an NFL team this year, no question about it.
Yeah, I don't think you're having arguments there. Very, very good size wide receiver. He can definitely make an impact in the next level. Let's go number 2 overall pick. We'll go with Jason Slowly, offensive tackle out of Western Oregon. Give us a little bit behind him.
Well, I've been on, just like Mayo, I've been on Slowly basically as Jason Slowly for a while. I've considered him the best lineman in the smaller school level. Mm-hmm. There's some picky when it comes to offensive linemen. My dad being a former offensive line coach, I look for a couple things. I look for quick feet. Mm-hmm. I look for pad level. And I look for guys that lay guys on their backs. The bottom line is when you're going up against the top guys, next year in the NFL or the CFL, you're not going to be able to just position your body in there. That's not going to be good enough. And some guys that are down on our board a little lower on the offensive line, that's what you usually see. You see a lot of guys, they're just trying to use their weight, sort of move and shuffle guys around. He slowly comes off the ball incredibly. His pad level is outstanding. He really gets after it. He's an All-American. He was also his conference Offensive Lineman of the Year. His combine numbers, his pro day numbers were disgusting. And in the 4.9s, his short shuttle was somewhere in the 4.3 to 4.5 range. Put up 35-plus reps on the bench. I mean, the guy, he did it from a combine stuff. He basically graded out from an offensive line standpoint, probably higher, or even player standpoint, higher than anybody else in the mock draft. Based on all the different things we look at, I think that probably, Kerry, he's going to move the guard at the next level, but his footwork and his pad level and his just overall agility is outstanding. He really can get after it. I think he's the best offensive lineman in our mock draft. Yeah,
and I cannot disagree with that at all. And, maybe a little bit of an interesting pick here at number 3. The first quarterback taken, Casey Terrell out of Jackson State. He tested probably the best out of any player at the BSN Collegiate Showcase. I know he had got 3.97, 5.10.5. I mean, he put some really good numbers. So, give us a little information on him.
Yeah, Casey's really a Division 1A prospect. Number of off-the-field issues sort of got in the way of him being a 1A prospect, and that's what he really is a 1A prospect. He's got outstanding foot speed. I saw that in agility of 3.96. His arm is incredible. If you break down the showcase film, there's certain things you look at from a quarterback. It's that, you hit that 5-step drop, it's that release. It's how quick does that ball get out of, from the rocking motion to the wide receiver. Big time numbers. He's mentally tough. I think he's physically tough. He's got the right size. He's got the right build. His accuracy was where it needed to be in that 60, 61, 62 range. I like to see a little higher, like 65, 66. Ideally, that's one of my big things. But really, I think the top quarter. We got a lot of good quarter. I mean, this is a quarterback-laden mock draft. I mean, if we go through, you'll see. And I really think that he's the best fit. His ability to scramble and run. You're talking about a guy that's in the top 5 of the FCS the last 2 years in production at the quarterback position. And I think I really think that if somebody in the NFL or somebody in the CFL would really take a chance on him and sort of ignore the off the field issue that sort of plagued him, which in my opinion really isn't anything that will hold him back from going forward.
No.
I really think that he could be one of the top quarterback prospects to come out of our network and out of our showcase.
Yeah. Again, I mean, pure athleticism is a really good way to describe him. He is just a freak athlete. So that's a really good pick at number 3. The fourth player picked overall is the second wide receiver off the board. We got Rico Wallace out of Shenandoah. He performed really well at the BSN Collegiate Showcase. Dan?
Yeah, I've seen Rico play for a number of years now. He used to match up against my alma mater, Catholic University, and Rico's a low 4.5 guy. Ran 4.51, 4.52 at the laser at our combine. He's got the perfect build. He looks smooth. As a former wide receiver, you like to look at ways guys run out. He's a good route runner. He gets separation. That's one of the number one things is when you look at it, not just with the guy's speed, can he separate from his defenders? And that's what you see with Rico, just a smoothness, a separation. He broke every record at his school. He's in the top 10 in the country in yards this year at Shenandoah. A lot of people looking at Rico. I think he's the ultimate possession receiver at the next level. I mean, even though he has the ability to break one long, you're really looking for that guy that can create that separation. It may have just been so impressive where he would have been my top wide receiver. But I really think Rico Wallace can definitely make his way onto an NFL roster this upcoming season. Yeah,
no doubt. And I think he's something great right there. Very good possession receiver. If you need a catch, he's going to make it for you. Very sure-handed. We got number 5, just a monster on the defensive end of the ball. Ryan Davis, defensive end out of Bethune-Cookman. He was a monster this past season, so there's really no surprise here, is there, Dan?
Yeah, 14, 15, 16 sacks. Really comes off the edge, really powerful, can bull rush, can speed by you. He's got the right frame. He's got the right body size. I've heard running in low mid 4.6s. Great. 4.2 agility type speed, and really just got it done. All the way around, and the production end of it. He shows well, and he tested well. Once again, I mean, I think he's a slam dunk. Question will be he be able to stay at that defensive end, or we have to move the outside backer? But he probably has enough ability to play that defensive end position, and I think he's an outstanding player. He could have been the top number 1 overall guy. I think he's definitely one of the high risers in the small school level.
Yeah, and best defensive player in our draft, first one off the board, but no question, he is the best defensive player in our draft. Next, we'll go number 6, Nate Menken, offensive tackle out of Mary Hardin Baylor. Big offensive lineman here. He got to perform at the Baylor Pro Day and really 39 repetitions on the bench. Nate's a big kid. I mean, he is he's a thick, solid kid. I mean, some kids look 300, 310, but he is a solid kid. Great athleticism once again. Pad level, not as good as Slowies, but still can really get after it from that level. Got good foot speed, got good agility. Was high on, I know our scouts, our partners at Optimum Scouting, they really like Nate, and I really like him at the offensive tackle or offensive guard. I think he's got the ability to play both. Once again, another solid player. Yeah, and, a great offensive lineman out of a pretty deep offensive line class we got in this mock draft. I was reading the other day, and there's some really good offensive linemen in this mock draft.
Right.
Let's go to number 7, Thomas Malaba, defensive tackle out of, again, Cal PA. So they got 2 players in the top 7. So, that's really a testament to their program. So give us a little bit about Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas is definitely a riser in this class. Ran 4.9 at his pro day, weighed in at 300 pounds. Another 4.2 agility guy, 4.3 agility guy, at 300 pounds. And it's sort of ironic. I actually played basketball with Thomas. He's a local kid to my area. And I remember playing basketball with him, and I remember asking him, where do you go to school? And he said, Cal PA. We were playing against a lot of guys that currently actually play on the Redskins. And he was holding his own. His foot speed was outstanding. And if you watch his film, he's probably got a real quick first step. Very athletic. You could maybe even slim down and play a 3-4 defensive end at 280, 285. He's got that kind of wind speed. It registered 70 tackles from the defensive end position, which is outstanding.
Yeah.
I mean, led his team in sacks from the defensive tackle position. I mean, a real solid player. His only thing that when you watch him on film, he's got a tendency to play high. Him and I were speaking the other day about, the number one thing he's working on is playing lower. When he plays low, he can really create a lot of damage. I really like his athleticism. And I think because of his athleticism, he's really going to give himself an ability to play multiple different positions at the pro level, whether it's a 3-4 defensive end or play that defensive tackle position. I really like him at both.
Yeah, and it's amazing of how quick he is at this defensive line position, weighing 300 pounds. I mean, and that's amazing agility. That's definitely a tool that he can use throughout his professional career. But let's get number 8. Pretty interesting pick here. The second quarterback taken off the board. We got John Vanderrot from Azusa Pacific. He really, I can tell, he really impressed you at the showcase. So give us a little bit about him.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. It was something I said about the same thing I'm going to say about John. I said about Armand Smith. John is coming from a system where he was really running the spread. Ran for over 1,200 yards as a QB. Threw for 1,800. Ran for 1,200. He's a 4.7 guy, but he's tough as nails. Good leader, good arm, can throw the deep ball. I think he's one of the kids like Armand Smith that someone needs to get him in a camp, even if it's on the practice squad for a full year. Just because he's very raw. You can see that in his accuracy, about 55, 56%, which is a little bit low. Like I said, you like to see in the mid-60s. But he's got a real uncanny ability to really, he really has got great football sense. And, he, like I said, has a big, strong, accurate arm. Can really, hit all through all the routes. And because of that speed ability, and his ability to really run with the football, I really think he's an interesting pick, and why I moved him up my board all the way up to number 8, like you said. I think he's a great player. I think he's got definite potential. Like I said, he's going to have to iron out some of the kinks of moving to a traditional pro-style offense from the spread.
Yeah, exactly. And he was a pretty good dual threat quarterback at the NAI level. Not going to be able to get by with that at the next level, but yeah, if he could develop into a passer, he could be a dangerous offensive weapon. So it's going to be interesting to see where he turns out. We'll go number 9, Asa Jackson out of California Polytechnic. Give us a little bit about Asa.
Yeah, he's Asa's our first BSN member off the board that was at the NFL Combine. I really liked Asa for a while too. Really can jump the football, has got that high 4.4 speed that you're looking for in a corner. Can really jump the football, can make big plays. Can tackle. I mean, he one of the top corners on the board. Just based on what I saw with some of the other players, he could also have been a guy that could have been a top 1, 2, or 3 pick. I think he's going to be an outstanding pro. No question about it. Yeah,
fantastic athlete. I saw him on the NFL Network. In the combine, I was like, hey, that guy's on BSN. So it's really neat to see these guys get to that next level on NFL Network, and they're part of BSN. So I mean, if we can get these guys to the next level, that's going to be a real testament to what BSN can do for these guys. We'll go ahead and we'll wrap out the top 10. We'll go number 10, Stephen Payton, safety out of Brown.
Yeah, big kid. 215, 220. Can really play down in the box. Has the perfect size of what you're looking for. Tests really well. Good agility, good speed, good overall speed there. The only thing that I think I'm concerned with on Steven is his coverage ability. Sometimes if he can get caught out on an island, he can get beat. He's really but I think he's really suited for a safety that's going to be more down in the box, more run support, matching up against tight ends, that kind of stuff. Probably not a guy you want to match up with slot receivers, but a guy that's going to be key in run support. He's got the body, he's got the frame, he's got the closing ability, he's got that football instinct, the safety position that you want. And, it's also got a great disposition about him, and that's why I liked him there at number 10.
Yeah, no question about it. Next we'll go number 11, Andrew Shotsky, defensive end. Big defensive end out of Georgetown. Big guy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, on film, one of the more impressive guys that I saw. Tested a little slow in the sort of 5 flat range for the defensive end, which, sort of dropped him a little bit on my board. For that, he was a first-team All-American on our selection at the end of the year. He's real impressive. Just totally gets after, causes a lot of mayhem. Quick first step. Once again, another 13, 14 type sack guy. Really led Georgetown's resurgence this past year, and I really like him. Got really good size, ideal pro size to play the defensive end position. Went out to a little bit work on the 40 speed and the lateral and some of the testing, but besides that, I think he's a great player.
Yeah, no question about it. No question about it. Big. I mean, he can make some impact at the next level wherever he might land. We'll go number 12, Joe Fiala, offensive guard out of Stony Brook. Big offensive guard.
Yeah, he plays offensive. Yeah, Joe plays offensive guard or offensive tackle. Very much like Slowly. Great feet, low pad level. Outstanding players, an All-American. Stony Brook had a great season this past year. I really like Joe's speed, his quickness. He's a pancake blocker. It's one of the things I grade out on an offensive line. And, just like Mencken and Slowly, I think he could be another impressive guy. Tested pretty well. I would have put, another guy that we'll talk about later is David Pickard out of Southern Illinois. I really lump all those four guys together. Pickard didn't test as well, but in my opinion, him and Slowly and they're all pretty much the same ability-wise. It really gets down to, how do these guys test? Are you really buying into that? But as far as, the guys that are ranked up high are based on, from offensive line. I like pad level. I like foot speed. I like guys that lay other guys out, and that can definitely protect in the passing game. So, once again, Joe, you want to put him in that category as one of those offensive linemen I would definitely bring into a camp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no question about it. No question about it. Number 13, moving right along, another player that was performed very well at the BSN Collegiate Showcase. We got Robert De La Rosa, defensive tackle out of Bucknell. You were really high on this guy, so let's hear about him.
Yeah, Robert, ran sub 5 at the combine. Also, our showcase ran 4.42. Had basically a 40-inch vertical, 39-inch vertical at the combine at our showcase event. Really gets after it from Bucknell. He really got after it, caused a lot of mayhem. Very quick first step, explosive. Can get to the quarterback. Can play once again. He's like Thomas Mulavaw. He can play so many different positions. You want to move him in like the traditional defensive tackle, he can do that. You can move him out to the defensive end in the 3-4, and he can really anchor that spot right there. So him and Thomas, very similar games. Mulavaw's a little bit more productive than De La Rosa, but still, I think De La Rosa is one of the best defensive linemen in this mock draft.
I couldn't agree with you more. He had a ridiculous season last year. I think he's one of those guys. He was a stat sheet filler. You look at every stat possible for a defense. Block kicks. I'm pretty sure. I think he had 1 or 2 forced fumbles. Fumbles recovered. He can do everything. He can do everything.
That's a lot of mayhem. That's definitely that's what he was doing from that position.
Yeah, and we'll move right along. Number 14, we got Justin Bethel, cornerback out of Presbyterian.
Yeah, he's another NFL. Combine guy out of Presbyterian, very deep this year in corners. Justin can really jump the ball. He made some good performances against Division 1A that I think really put him, against Cal this past year, that really put him on the map. So, once again, throw him up there with Asa. I like Asa a little bit better, but once again, I think they're very similar in ability.
Yep, no question about it. We'll go number 15, David Pickard, offensive tackle out of Southern Illinois.
Yeah, like I said, I would honestly, I had Pickard and Slowly measured about the same. Pickard didn't test as well as Slowly did, but they're both they're real solid. Good pad level, good footwork, play low, pancake blocker, I really liked him. The only thing maybe he was a little bit lower, second team all conference selection, leaving the OVC. So, a little bit lower than Slowly and Mencken and Fiala. And that's sort of where he is. But once again, another high quality guy. If I had those 4 offensive linemen and his teammate Brian Bomer, if I had those 5 guys lining up to play in line for me next year, I think that'd be a successful group.
Yep, no question about it. Moving right along, we will go number 16, the third wide receiver chosen so far. We'll go Jamar Howard out of Central Missouri. Big, tall, lanky kid.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. He's really he's almost a mirrored version of Thomas Mayo. Probably very similar in their game. Jamar put up great numbers. Tested. High. In the mid 4.5 range. Once again, very similar. Very productive. I think if you're looking for a kid like Thomas Mayo and you can't get Thomas Mayo, Jamar Howard's your next guy. They play exactly the same. And honestly, they once again, they're a lot of these guys in our top 20. They could, the debate could be, could this guy be one? Could this guy? But bottom line, these guys, all these guys can play. So that I would say, if you like Thomas Mayo, you need to watch Jamar Howard. Jamar Howard and Thomas Mayo, very similar in my opinion.
Yeah, no question about it. Very, very similar stature. Very similar. We'll go number 17, Sean Lussau, linebacker out of Merrimack College.
Yeah, here's another NFL Combine guy out of our network. He was a preseason All-American by us and a postseason All-American by us. He's a typical inside linebacker. He's a stat tackling machine. He's well over 100-plus tackles. I think he was first or second in Division II in tackles. Invited to the NFL Combine. Didn't test as well at the Combine, probably as he needed to, or he would be higher up on these boards. His agility level was a little bit of a question at the Combine, but he came in about 240, between 245 and 250. He's an inside linebacker, could play in the 3-4 inside linebacker, could play the middle, the 4-3. But I like him. He's a stat. He can really plug a hole. That's what you're looking for in that inside linebacker position.
Yep, no question about it. We'll move right along. Number 18, we got Bo Levi Mitchell. Third quarterback taken so far. He's a quarterback out of Eastern Washington. This guy's he's got a professional arm.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, his arm and Casey Theriault's arm are very similar. Bo Levi, he can really let it rip. I'm very impressed with his ability. Not only to scan the field, see the field, but he's got good release. He can throw the deep ball. A little high on the interceptions sometimes. They played a very tough schedule. But Bo Levi, I was very impressed with him. Like I said, same thing I said with Thomas Mayo. If you're looking for a player like Thomas Mayo, you can get a guy like Jamar Howard. If you're looking for a player like Casey Theriault, Bo Levi Mitchell is your next guy if you can't get him, because they're very similar in the way they play. And the other thing about Bo Levi, he's battle tested. FCS national championship last year, and also an SMU transfer, so he has a 1A drop down to the FCS level, which is appealing to a lot of pro teams. So, I really like him. I think he's got a pro style arm, played a pro style game. I think that he would be another good addition to anybody's roster.
Yeah, I completely agree on that one. Number 19, we got Brandon Link. He's the center out of Concord University.
Yeah, once again, kid I've been high on for about 2 years now. Brandon has a great pad level for that center position. You're looking for a guy that can really get after it, speed-wise. You're looking for that quick footwork. Once again, here's another guy that ran sub-5 in his 40. He participated at the WVU Pro Day. He ran sub-5. Another great, had good agility numbers. Put up 30, 35 reps on the bench, somewhere in that ballpark. And he really got after it at the D2 level. He's an All-American by us. And here's the other thing: all these guys we're talking about that they have BSN links. Anybody that's listening to this, you can go and check out those links and watch these films yourself and see what we're seeing in the breakdown process. We really invite everybody to really go through and watch all those players. But Brandon, once again, centers are sometimes real tough to come by because it's a very skilled position. I liked him as one of the best centers that I saw this past year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can't argue with that. And like Dan said, if anyone wants to know more about these players, they all have profiles, videos, everything. Just go to bsncollege.com and you can find links to all these players. Just check it out. It's a pretty cool site. Free to sign up. Let's go ahead to number 20. We'll go Patrick Witt, quarterback out of Yale. Big, tall quarterback. Big quarterback we got here.
Yeah, he's another NFL Combine guy. Patrick's a great kid, Rhodes Scholar nominee. He's a big kid. Sometimes the accuracy can be a little bit of an issue with him, but he can really throw it down the field. He can hit all the routes. He's got the size you want, the 6'4", 225 frame. Played in the Ivy League. It's very competitive at the FCS level there. Once again, I like Patrick. He's a little different than Theriault and Bo Levi. Not as mobile as those guys are, but still has a good arm. Can definitely hit the routes and good arm strength. So I like him pretty much at that spot in the first round.
Mm-hmm. And we'll go at number 21, Tyler Hendrickson, offensive tackle out of Concordia St. Paul. And I gotta say, is this a typo now right here? 6'10"? Is that correct?
That's what he is, man. 6'9". 5'10". He's a big kid. Plays high. You expect that for a guy that would be that size. Doesn't have nearly the foot speed of the other linemen we've listed, Pickard and Slowly and Mankin. Doesn't quite have that foot speed. Doesn't really lay guys out like those guys do. But once again, he's so big that with his gait alone and his reach, he's really an ideal pass blocker because he's so hard to get around. And that's once again, he's another kid I take maybe a risk on, if you want to call it that, or not even a risk, but a developmental thing to see what he can really do. Because being that big, you really want to see what that kid can do at the next level. I definitely think he's like I said, one of the top linemen in our mock draft.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go wrong with a 6'10" lineman. That's just something you can't really pass up on. We'll go at number, where are we at? Number 22, another BSN Collegiate Showcase participant. We got Brandon Harvey, linebacker out of Delaware State.
Yeah, I mean, he's really outstanding, to be honest. Him and Luisa got a little bit more, as far as the award selection, All-American, NFL Combine selection, but Brandon Harvey, boy, does he pass the look test. I mean, just a solid kid. He's a little short, 5'10", but he's a solid 245. Tested well. You can see his combine stats link on the mock draft. Tested well, good agility. I think he was a 4.19 guy in the agility. 4.6, 4.7 guy, speed-wise. Just a guy that's got a quick first step, fills the backfield, causes mayhem, can really get to the quarterback. He said one of his guys he looked up to was London Fletcher from John Carroll, and I'll tell you what, he looks like him, he moves like him. I really like Brandon Harvey. He's a guy that's really moving up. He's quietly had a good performance at the HBCU Bowl, and I really think he's just continued to build momentum. Delaware State did not have the kind of year they've had in the past, which I think sort of hurt his recognition on some of those levels. But boy, can he play! Let me tell you.
Yeah, and my friend Justin Pekovsky, who works at the showcase with us, he's also a BSN contributor. He just said, that guy right there, he looks like a football player. I mean, he looks so good in pads. He's just one of those guys that just looks good in pads.
Right. Yeah.
But we'll go number 23. We got Deshaun Sheed from he's a safety out of Portland State University.
Yeah, Portland State, they produced a number of really good products from the football players in the last couple of years at the small school level.
Mm-hmm.
Their tight end last year got drafted. We had a top player in our mock draft 2 years ago, a guy named Eric Peterson, who's playing small arena ball right now. We got drafted by the UFL, actually out of our network. And, once again, Deshaun's got good break ability. He's got good speed. He tested real well,
Mm-hmm.
I believe in the 4.5 range, in the 40, outstanding player, multi-year first team all selection. I really like Deshaun.
Yep. We'll go number 24, Justin Aldridge, tight end, Northwestern State.
Yeah, I like Justin. Justin's a 4.59 guy in the 40. Laser. He's very athletic, can catch the ball, and he's got, he moves like a football player. That sounds weird to say, but he does everything smooth. He can block, he can catch the football, he can run routes, could play the H-back position or the tight end position, has got that ability, has got good solid hands that can catch the football, and, I really liked him, and so did I know a lot of our scouts.
Yep. And at number 25, we got another guy who went to the showcase, Jaya Kaisamba, cornerback, and he also returns kicks from Georgetown University. Probably one of the more athletic guys in this first round.
Yeah, 4.45 guy. Big, strong kid too. For a corner, he's put together real well. Led the resurgence at Georgetown. His junior year, he had 5 interceptions. This past year, he didn't get thrown out as much.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched film on Patrick Witt in their matchup against Georgetown. Mm-hmm. Very rarely did Witt even go Kaisamba's way, and I think that was a common theme this year. And because of that, he got ranked. He was a second-team All-Conference Patriot League guy, which I thought was really a bad ranking from that perspective. He was an All-American from us, and he can really cover, he can really play, and he can run. So, Jaya's one of those kids that, I think from a corner perspective, maybe not have as much flash as Asa Jackson or Bethel, but is definitely a guy I think that people need to take a look at.
Yeah, no question about it. No question about it. 26, a guy I really like because he put up ridiculous numbers. Michael Zweifel, wide receiver out of Dubuque. Is that how you pronounce that? Dubuque. There you go.
But I'll tell you what, Zweifel's a Gagliardi Award winner, which is basically the Heisman Trophy at the D3 level. Like you said, led the NCAA, I believe, in yards and catches, broke all the NCAA records there, and had great film, as you would imagine, with 20-plus touchdowns. I mean, the guy was disgusting. But he really helped his stock at the Iowa State Pro Day, ran in the 4.5s, had that low 4.1, 4.2 agility-based speed, had 35-inch vertical. He did what he needed to do from the testing standpoint, really to quell the rumors of he tested very similar to Rico Wallace. Rico might be a little bit faster than him. That's why I have him, and I like Rico's game a little bit better, play in and play out. But Zweifel, I think really helped himself at his pro day, and he's got outstanding film. So, I really like him at that pick. I think somebody's going to take I would be shocked if someone didn't take you see him in an NFL camp based on his production in college and what he did at his pro day.
Yeah, and he's listed here at 190. You got to think if he could put on just 10, 15 pounds, he could be a real force, and he could be really something special at the next level. We got number 27, Chris DeAndrea, running back, Montclair State.
Oh yeah, I mean he's one of my risers right now, sort of coming out of nowhere. I mean, he was an All-American selection by us, ran in the 4.4s at his pro day. He might even be high 4.3 guy. Really like his ability to really break runs. Was a big-time production guy at Montclair State, which is in the NJAC, and the New Jersey Athletic Conference. I really like players from the NJAC. It seems to be a conference that very well battle-tested week in and week out. They get a lot of drop-downs that come there. And, Chris, the only thing that might be hurting him is he's a little undersized, 5'8", 200, but, very similar to Chad Cafford, who was our first pick 2 years ago, who's now with the Toronto Argonauts. Very similar. Chad was faster, but I really like Chris's game and really warranted that first being one of the top running backs off our board or on our board for the mock draft.
Yeah, and that's a solid 5'9", 200 pounds. I mean, he's a very, very solid guy.
Yeah, he's got a great highlight film. People need to really watch his film. He's got a good film. Really can show what he can do.
Exactly. And number 28, a really good offensive tackle here. Number 28, we got Anthony Buffalino from Lafayette.
Yeah, Anthony came in very athletic. Ran 4.1, 4.2 in the short shuttle. Low 5s. Can really get after it. Has good foot speed. Pad level is good. Probably about where Nate Mankin's pad level is. He's a good game blocker. Didn't get as much recognition in the Patriot League. Maybe as he should. I know Lafayette didn't have the best year. I think that probably had something to do with it. But once again, a kid I really like on film. I think he can really get after it. Ironically, plays better on the left side than the right. It's really bizarre. He plays all over the line. He plays guard. He plays tackle on both sides. But when he's on that left side, he seems to be a little bit quicker, and his pad level's better. It's sort of strange to watch, but he's definitely more likely a left guard at the next level.
And here at number 29, a player that I knew you were really impressed with. We got Troy McKenna, tight end out of Lehigh.
Yeah, I mean, this is a kid that was actually first-team All-American offensive tackle by us. The first-team All-Patriot League guy at tackle. I remember talking with his agent, and he said his agent said, I want to switch him to tight end, and he wanted to come to the showcase because we were going to do so much work with the tight ends running routes. He was going to get 7-on-7 work, and he was going to get some game experience. And here's a kid, once again, 4.1, 4.2 in the short shuttle, ran 4.6, maybe low 4.7s in his 40. Was strong, can block obviously, and he runs good routes. He can catch football, can take a hit, and he's just once again, Kim, Vanderan. These guys people really need to take a look at because they could be very developmental based. Where give this kid some coaching at the tight end position, and you might have a real steal here. Because if you can get a guy that can be as good as a tackle, that can go down and catch the football. I know he was in for a Giants workout the last week or so. They like those big tight ends, and I think he's one of those guys that, that's why he shot up my board. He's a very interesting prospect.
Yeah, and at 6'4", 260, it's hard to argue with that as a tight end. Or even if it doesn't work out, he'll play tackle for you. I mean, he's proven he can do it. He can do it all.
Right.
Now at number 30, we have another BSN Collegiate Showcase participant. We have Nick Clark, linebacker out of Alfred.
Yeah, former wrestler. He was actually a Division I wrestler at one point. Great, good, outstanding instincts. Can just find the football. Got a good, quick first step. Tested in the 4.6, 4.7 range, 4.2, 5, somewhere in there on the short shuttle. But just great football instincts. Really can find the football. Can lay a lick on people. Can really make. He's a big play type guy. Is a good would be a good outside backer. And once again, he's another kid. Based on his background, it'd be interesting to see what he can do at the next level. Well, I really like Nick's play.
Yeah, he really impressive at the showcase. Really impressive. Another guy that was really impressive at the showcase. We got number 31, Willie McGinnis, defensive tackle, Rhode Island.
Yeah, quick step. Willie comes in 3.12 at Rhode Island. Very quick step. One of the fastest quick steps that I've seen. Can really get to the football, cause a lot of havoc. Did that at Rhode Island. He can play the nose in the 3-4. He can play the tackle position. The nose might be the best position for him. I like him because of his quick first step, and that's what you're looking for out of those defensive tackles. You're not looking for him to run 25 yards or 30 yards, but to run about 10. And he's got a very quick first step. I like Willie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same here. And with the last pick in the first round, we'll go Charles Gilbert, wide receiver, Concordia St. Paul.
Yeah, he's really flown up my draft board, Kerry. I mean, Charles basically flew up, ran a 4.25 laser at his pro day. A sub-4 short shuttle, and outstanding agility, can run by people. The only reason why he's not up higher, in my opinion, I like to see more of his route running ability. There's no question he can run by folks. What I like to see is, does he have the discipline in the route running? You see him when you watch him on film, lots of big plays, fades, deep routes, etc. I like to see the full repertoire. I like to see your curls and your digs and your short stuff and your under routes, and that sort of gives me an idea. I didn't see a lot of that from him. It's the only reason why he's down lower. But his great pro day numbers in his production, he's a top 20 in the nation in yards at the D2 level, type guy. And with that kind of pro day numbers, he's definitely going to be somebody that people take a look at.
Yeah, and again, he's one of those players, very raw. Maybe if he develops a little bit, he could really turn into a special player.
Right.
So we'll go number 33 with the first pick of the second round. We'll go number 33, Mario Kern. He's listed as a defensive end and a linebacker out of the University of San Diego.
Yeah, Mario, he actually weighed in. He actually moved up my board. He weighed in heavy. He weighed in about 238, 239, which is where he needs to be to move out to outside linebacker. He ran a 40 in the low 4.6s. His short shuttle 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, that range. Very good short shuttle ability. Mario played traditionally defensive end. He can really get after the quarterback. He's got good speed, good burst. We're one of the top sack guys at the FCS level. I really like him there. Like I said, his biggest thing is, can he transition to that outside linebacker? Can he stand up? Because he's not going to be able to put his hand in the dirt. He could put his hand in the dirt in Canada, which I think could be definitely a prospect for him. But he wants to play in the NFL. I think he's going to have to stand up, which the reason why he moved down into the second round was to do that. Yeah.
Well, and we'll go ahead and move to number 34, Brian Bomer, offensive. He's a center out of Southern Illinois.
Yeah, Pickett's teammate at Southern Illinois. Like him, he can pull. He's got good pad level, good feet, ranked out real high based on his pro day numbers. And once again, him and Brandon Link are both two really good centers.
Yeah, and that offensive line at Southern Illinois, that's 2 picks in the first 2 rounds. That's pretty impressive.
Right.
And we'll go number 35, Will Morris, safety out of McMurray.
Oh, here's a kid that really sort of surprised me. I mean, if you watch him on film, he's also a D1 drop down, transfer down, and Will's got really good speed. He's definitely more athletic than, let's say, a Steve Payton. He definitely covered. He was actually one of the guys at the showcase that actually could cover Rico Wallace, which was really a testament to his speed level. He's a guy that really can run the alleys and really make some big hits. Can really go sideline to sideline. He was an All-American, D3 All-American. tested well, four flat range in the short shuttle. He's got good hips, and a good football sense.
Yeah, no question about that. We'll go number 36, Trevor Kennedy. He's a wide receiver. He also returns kicks from Mercyhurst College.
Yeah, Trevor, one of the top 5 in the Division II level in production and receptions and yards. The only reason he actually moved down the board, a little slow on the 40, 4.6 range, but he's a big kid. He's about 200 pounds, so he might be able to fit that slot role. That's why he sort of fell down, but his production level at the D2 level was real good.
Yeah, he put up excellent numbers last season for Mercyhurst. We'll go number 37, another quarterback, Dane Semino, quarterback out of Washburn. This kid's 6'6", 220.
Yeah, he actually came in a little shorter than what was being broadcast, about 6'4", but still big arm. Can throw all kinds of different passes. A little slower. He's a 5'1" guy in the speed, but he still has all the tools. Once again, he put up a lot of passing yards. I think he's definitely got the tools to play at the pro level. No question.
Yeah, and with number 38, we got another showcase guy here, Emory Addick, defensive tackle, Eastern Kentucky.
Another very quick first step. Eastern Kentucky had a great season. Emory seemed to be always be in the backfield. Really liked what he did at the showcase, both testing-wise and his ability to get off the block. He's a hard guy to block. You got to take 2 to block him, and that's what you're looking for in a defensive tackle. He's a little bit more. He's very athletic, a little lighter than let's say Mulaba and Guinness, but still just as productive.
Yeah. And speaking of productive, we got number 39 here, Clarence Anderson, the wide receiver, kick returner, everything man for Ottawa University.
Yeah, first team All-American, big time production there. Only reason he slid down the draft, very sort of high shuttle, didn't like his shuttle testing, the agility testing that he did that wide. That's what brought him into the second round, which, with how quality the guys are in the mock draft, that's all it takes for you move down a board, down into down around. But he has outstanding production. He's a good kick returner. Can really run routes. He can really break one. He's not going to get caught from behind. He's got that kind of speed. The question is, will he be able to run the routes at the next level to get that separation? That's what you're looking for, sort of in those agility numbers.
Yeah, and here number 40 is a player I really liked at the showcase this year was Cody Ike, safety out of Minnesota Duluth.
Yeah, pure winner. National champion from Minnesota Duluth. Cody's got great instincts. Can really jump the ball. He's great in run support. Kid that really knows the game. A little bit small, tested well. 4 flat range. Ran the 4.5s, 4.6s, in the 40 range. He's a good safety, a good free safety to have up there. And he's got a good nose for the ball. Size a little bit on the issue there, but I think I really like Cody. Really good player.
Yeah,
him and Will Morris are very similar in what their ability levels are. But that's pretty much it. Pure winner. You're looking for a guy that can step right in and pick things up. He's the kind of guy you want to go for.
Yeah, and here at number 41, we have a guy. I think a guy that really was the talk of the showcase after the second day with all those drills. We got James Bowman, defensive tackle, and he can play defensive end as well, out of St. Francis.
Yeah, here's a guy. He's over 300. 290, 300. Quick first step. You got to take 2 to block him. St. Francis. They beat some FCS teams this year, so they've got a very formidable opponent. James was really a guy that slid under the radars of a lot of people, but he's got some good football ability. Once again, another guy I would take a chance on and go after, because I think you can bring him into camp. He's got a great attitude. He's a hard worker, and he's got ability. And he plays with a good pad level for a guy his size, and he really can, he can really push himself upfield, which is what you're looking for in that defensive tackle position.
Yeah, exactly. Really, really great guy. We got number 42, a very dangerous weapon here at 42. We got Demario Barber, wide receiver. He really makes his living as a kick returner out of Fort Valley State.
Yeah, if you put him out the wide receiver thing, he could get a double move on you, and if you make a mistake, he's going to beat you. You're not going to catch him. And kick returner-wise, he's a great kick returner. Surprisingly, can break a lot of tackles even at his size. He's a 4.3 guy. Agility in the 4 flat range. No question about it. I liken him a lot to Brandon Banks for the Redskins. That type of player.
Yep. And number 43, we got another running back here, Rashad Slowly out of Southern Connecticut State.
Yeah, big time production from Rashad. 20-plus touchdowns. One of the top rushers in D2. Pro day numbers a little low. Ran in the 4.6s, which really has dropped him down. When Chris DeAndre ran in the high 4.4s, low 4.5s, that sort of really cemented who I really thought was the first overall pick, or as far as the running backs go. And I think that's the only thing that really dropped Rashad's stock. He's a strong kid. He's a big kid. Run kids over. He can separate on the field. But I really like him. And he's got the size. That's the other thing. He's 6'2". He's 215, 220 pounds. He's a big kid. Which, hey, maybe you have a bad day testing. Maybe he tests in the 4.5s. He tests in the 4.4s. I mean, if he would have tested in the 4.4s, he would have been our top 10. No question about it. Mm-hmm.
Well, and at 212 pounds, that's a pretty big frame he's carrying there. So you can't really fault him there for that. But at number 44, we got Kyle Thornton, offensive guard out of North Alabama.
Yeah, multi-year All-American out of North Alabama. Mm-hmm. Kyle played for Terry Bowden down there and really played against some tough competition to really get after it. Pad level, not as good as some of the guys that we mentioned before. Got good foot speed, good run blocker, good pass blocker, solid player, no question about it. So, even a guy like Kyle, he's definitely an NFL prospect at that offensive guard position, no question.
Yeah, definitely got some great size on him. We got number 45, James Harrell. He's a cornerback out of Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Yeah, here's a kid I really like at the cornerback position. Really jumps the ball, can go up and get the ball. I really like him. Mm-hmm. His film really jumps out at me. When I evaluate corners, Kerry, I really look for the guys that can jump the football. Mm-hmm. Some of the guys that fell down our boards, it's great. You can tackle the guy after he catches a 10-yard hitch on you. That's great. But you know what? In the pros, that doesn't get it done. You got to be able to jump the football. And if you can't jump the football on guys at your level, you're not going to be able to jump the football on the guys at the pros. And James can really jump the football. That's what I really like about him. And he can really cover the field and recover and make plays up in the air. That's
what it's all about. And we got number 46 here, Chris Powers. He's a center out of Eastern Washington.
Yeah, he's Bo Levi Mitchell's center. Another outstanding talent. Good pad level. Just once again, comes from very battle-tested, running through the NCAA playoffs, and another player I really like at the center position.
Yeah. And at 47, we got Marcus Hyde, defensive end out of the College of William & Mary.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I've watched Marcus since he was in high school. His lateral quickness is amazing. Mm. It showed in his testing, another 4.2, 4.3, 4.4 kind of range on the short shuttle. He's a big kid. He's 255 pounds plus. Question mark on him is his shoulder. He's coming back from shoulder surgery, but it was very productive in the CAA level. I really like him. He can really run down running backs and quarterbacks side to side, and you can get out for the quarterback. I think he had a 3-sack game 2 seasons ago against New Hampshire. He's an All-American from us. I really like Marcus. I think he's you got to sort of see how that injury heals. But once again, he's got a great pro body. Defensive end in the small school level is one of the hardest positions to find because you're looking for a guy that's 255, 260, 265 to step in. Not a lot of guys at those levels that play that position with that much speed, but this guy is one of them, no question.
Yeah, definitely. And number 48, another showcase participant, we got Alexander Tonkara, wide receiver out of Brown.
Yeah, big kid, 6'4", ran the 40 in 4.5. Good route runner. Catch the ball, can make plays. The only reason why he's down a little lower, didn't have as much production at Brown, but once again, I think he's only played football for 3 or 4 seasons, in his life. Soccer was his first game. So once again, just like some of these kids, like Van Duran, we've gone through and said, hey, this is a guy you really needed to take a development standpoint on him. Here's another kid in Tonkara who I feel, could develop into a NFL-style receiver because he's got the body size for it.
Yeah, again,
and the workout, no question.
Yeah, again, just another raw talent that really could be polished into something great. Number 49, we got Joshua Murray. He's running back. He also returns kicks at the University of Mary.
Yeah, he transferred from North Dakota and was very productive from North Dakota, was another top 10, top 15 running back for Mary this year, or Division II school. Tested really well, 4 flat, ran a good 40 time. Guy has the body size. He also one of those guys that looks the part, just the way he's put together, definitely can play running back to the next level. I really like Josh. Got a lot of upside with him.
Yeah, I've had a really good time watching the videos he posts on our website. He's got some great highlight film. We got at number 50 here. We got another quarterback here, Lee Chappell out of North Alabama.
Yeah, Lee sort of surprised a lot of us at the showcase. I mean, great arm, really has a lot of zip on it, can really put the ball on the right spot. Another battle-tested guy, can throw the ball deep. Wasn't as productive, but had a solid running game behind him at North Alabama. Accuracy was pretty good, was in the low 60s, I believe, 61, 62, somewhere in there, which was really good. I like his personality. I like his ability to command a huddle. And he's battle tested, and I really like the way, his arm strength, his release. I really like Lee.
Yeah. And at number 51, we got Brandon Waters. He's a safety out of Slippery Rock.
Yeah, well, led, I think, Division II in interceptions, 9 or 10 or 11 interceptions. Can really jump the football. Didn't have as many pro day numbers on him, where he'd be higher ranked than he was. But a good tackler, one of the best safeties we have in our mock draft. I like Brandon. He's got a good film. I think he's a pure safety, a good player.
Yeah. At number 52, we got great linebacker here, Julian Stanford out of Wagner College.
Yeah, he's another guy that really flew up our boards. Ran in the low 4.5s, high 4.4s, a little bit light, 225, 230. So the reason why he's not in the top is I don't know if he can play if he's going to be big enough to play linebacker, but he's one of those kids that's strong safety. His agility was really good. He's talking about a 4 flat agility guy that you could see move back into that outside linebacker. Move back into that strong safety-based position. Can really get after the quarterback, can make big plays. Had some great testing numbers. That was very productive at Wagner.
Yeah. And number 53, we got a little speed demon here. We got Mark Wilson, wide receiver out of St. Elmsome College.
Yeah, he's a good possession receiver too. Ran in the 4.4s. At one of the NFL regional combines, was invited to the NFL Super Regional in Detroit. Can make big plays. Once again, another possession receiver. It's from St. Anselm.
Yeah, and at number 54 here, we got Corey Balserzak he's an offensive tackle out of St. John Fisher College.
Yeah, he's got a big body, can really, All-American from us, good pass blocker, not as good on the pad level, needs to work on that, needs to work a little bit more on the foot speed, but once again, he's got a good frame on him, and I really like him in the tackle position, might have to transition into guard, but another good offensive lineman. Yeah.
55, we got Tim Hume. He's a defensive end out of Cheney University.
Yeah, Tim was the PSAC, one of the PSAC Defensive Players of the Year. Came in big at 270, and I was really concerned about that. But boy, does he have a quick first step. I would say him and Kier Jeter probably have one of the best, and Chris Mays have one of the best first steps at the defensive end position out there. And Tim's got the size. 270, that's what you want. 6 foot, you like guy 6'2", but good first step. A little bit slower on the 40, but his first step, his ability to get after the quarterback and cause havoc. A really intriguing player.
56, we got another showcase participant. We got Simi Yarborough, wide receiver out of southeastern Louisiana.
Yeah, here's a 4.4 guy, 4.4 speed guy. I really like Simi. He can really good route runner. Doesn't really has a lot of the package. Not as productive this year at Southeastern Louisiana. Was very productive during his junior year. It's the only reason why he slid down the board. But had a great pro day with us at our showcase. With great testing, and I really liked what he did at our showcase. And I've liked what I've seen on film for him. He's a good player. Yeah.
And now here's a big defensive end here at number 57. We got Todd Storm, defensive end out of Michigan Tech, 6'5", 255.
Right. Yeah, Todd's a big kid. Multi-year All-American selection by us, multi-All-American selection by D2Football.com. very productive. I think, honestly, if he'd probably be on a little bit better of a team, he probably would have gotten more fanfare than he did. But he's got very quick first step, great athleticism. He's got the pro body, which you're looking for. Dan Hume. You look at some of the defensive ends we're selecting here. We're not selecting the defensive ends that are 5'11", 230. We're selecting guys that are defensive ends that are 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2", 250, 255, 260, 265, 270. In that range that you're looking for, so I really like him.
Yeah, same here. And number 58, we got Clarence Laster. He's a safety out of Southwestern Oklahoma.
Yeah, here's another guy. Jumps the ball real well. A solid tackler. Multi All-American awards for him. Can really cover the field a number of different ways. It's a very solid player.
Yeah, and here at number 59, here's a guy like this guy's what you said earlier. This guy's just a winner. Several deep playoff runs. Number 59, we got Shane McSweeney, quarterback out of Wesley.
Yeah, ran in the 4.5s at his pro day. I think he throws one of the best long balls in this mock draft. Questions on him. Sometimes his accuracy is good, but his decision making at times can be sort of questionable. I mean, that's one of the things that really sort of is a red flag for me is the decision making. But there's no doubt he can make big plays with his arm and his legs. Some of the runs that he had deep into the playoffs, as far as his ability to scramble and take hits, and very similar to Van Durant in that way.
Yeah.
A little more accurate than Van Durant. I don't think the decision, he's not as good a decision maker as Van Durant is, but I really like Shane McSweeney. Once again, any of these quarterbacks I think are very top quality that all should be in an NFL camp.
Yeah, exactly. And at number 60 here, we got Deion Turner, quarterback out of Southern Utah University.
Yeah, his stock's really rising, Kerry. 4.4 guy, did real well at his pro day. It was an preseason All-American selection by us. They won their conference last season. Deion could really jump the football. Is what you like to see. And I think he's definitely a guy that's been on the upswing. Not as productive as a senior year, as maybe his junior year, but still a good player.
Yeah, and here at 61, we got a really good guy, a guy that really tested really well at the showcase. We got R.J. Pauley, offensive tackle out of South Dakota.
Yeah, I really like R.J. Pauley. Good pass blocker. Tested well. Got a good frame. Came in like 312, 320. I mean, big kid. Has a tendency to maybe lean a little bit too much forward during pass blocking. One thing he's probably got to correct. Could play the right guard, right tackle. Probably play a number of different positions on the line. But I really like RJ, his athleticism, his build, his blocking ability. Performed real well against the University of Minnesota. South Dakota's upset on them this year, and his teammate Tom Compton is going to get drafted in probably the 3rd or 4th round. Maybe the 5th round of the NFL draft. So that's a solid group there that he was a part of.
Yeah. And here at number 62, really good linebacker here, L.J. Fort out of Northern Iowa University.
Yeah, first team All-American selection by us. Tackling machine in the top 5 in tackling in the FCS. L.J., he's not going to necessarily chest some guy up and power drive him over, but he's very quick. He's a slasher. A lot of slashing tackles. If a hole opens up, he can slash in. Could move and play that strong safety position. Not sure yet if that's going to happen. He's in that sort of that tweener, that 230, 235 phase. You don't know where he's going to go. But once again, very productive, a leader, a good tackler, very good lateral, makes big plays. Very solid linebacker who I think is going to get a shot at the NFL level. Yeah,
very, very solid player. Number 63, a guy I really like. I know him personally. He's a really great guy. We got number 63, Solomon Orr, offensive guard out of Tarleton State.
Yeah, Solomon, tested very well for a guy his size. Sort of that, 5'3", 5'4" range in the 40. Very athletic. Another guy that's a project. Came from Tarleton State, a D2 school. Needs some developmental time, but he's he weighs in at 350, anywhere from 350 to 375, but he doesn't look it. Looks slender. He's put together real well. He's got a great attitude, very humble young man, works hard. Definitely somebody I would definitely take as a selection because you could develop him over the next 1 to 2 years on your practice squad. It could be an impact player for you maybe in year 3.
Yeah, no question about it. And rounding out the second round here, we got number 64, Tommy Westbrook, linebacker, North Alabama.
Yeah, great inside linebacker skills. Tested in the 4.6 to 4.7 range in the speed, 4.2, 4.3 range in the short shuttle, but has very good football instinct. One of those things, linebacker, you can look at the testing. He's got good instincts like Brandon Harvey. I would almost say, and a guy that's a little further down on our board, C.J. Gum, they've both got very good football instinct. You can see by the way plays develop and how they read. He's very athletic, plays with a lot of energy, a lot of emotion. He's also an FCS, dropped down to the Division II level. And once again, I think Tommy's a kid you could see definitely on an NFL preseason roster next couple weeks.
Yeah, and with that being said, that's going to wrap up the first video. We just finished rounds 1 and 2. Look out for the rest of the rounds here coming up shortly. And it's been fun. It's been fun. And we'll see you soon.
Yep.